decided to do a interesting sort of thing today, similar to where I saw some videos where people were sharing bookmark collections on the whole BookTube community thing, and I'm kind of interested in the whole situation, so I decided I would kind of do my own kind of twist-ish on it. Basically, while it is kind of like bookmarks, basically what I decided to do is kind of look through some of my books and see just what kind of random crap I've left in there ever since the last time I read whichever book. Cause actually the other day while I was reading the Love and Thumps book and The Eyes of the Want, which I haven't read in probably about 10 years since it first came out. I had been reading it for a couple of days already, and I just laid down in bed and was reading it for a few minutes one night before going to sleep, and out of the back third of the book, this thing fell out, which is a little yearbook photo bookmark that I got from 2004, and I didn't even realize that I had completely forgotten that this bookmark even existed, they even made these, until this thing just literally fell on my face. But yeah, so I decided, I was like, you know what, let's take a moment, go through some of my books and see what other random crap is just kind of being stored away that I've forgotten about. Because I know there's a lot of books where I've stuck random sticky notes or this or that, or just used something random as a bookmark and then just kind of left it in the book for whatever reason, whether I stopped reading the book before finishing it, or if I just forgot it had been tucked away because I just needed a place to stow whatever in the book regardless of using it as a bookmark. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of gonna do. And I don't have a whole lot of time to work with, so I'm gonna try and be quick about it because I have work in I'll have to leave in 30 to 45 minutes, so let's see how this goes. And some other point here, I'm actually gonna have to do another video where I've been wanting to go through my books and just kind of explain how or when or where I got certain books, such as this one, which is a uncorrected proof of a book that I got from Mickey when she was working at Borders a decade ago, and so she got a few books like that, but that's the only one I've ever gotten. And for the most part, there's no issues with that one. Basically, the only thing is how I think there's a duplicated page, and then the next page that should have been in that duplicated page's spot is just missing or something like that. So yeah, I think that's the only thing that I recall being odd about it. Now I know I have a ton of stuff in my Bible because this is ridiculous. I have little quote papers they gave us, a Relief Society Christmas dinner invitation. What on earth is this? Another quote printouts. This is just all on the front cover. Program from March 5th of last year, so actually not that long ago. This I think was the last time I went to the Warner Robins War, though, actually. Note cards from seminary activities. Missionary work. Worksheet. Those were kind of general. It's probably going to be some of my more older books that I have stuff saved in. Most likely. Most of these books actually I've only read, I think I counted up this weekend that I've only read maybe just under half of my books, like 79-ish out of like 180. And I don't think I've ever actually read my copies of The Hunger Games, because I read it all on ebook when I first read the series, because I didn't have time to go and purchase them, because I decided like the week before the movie came out, like the first movie, that I was going to read it, and I was determined not to know anything other than when I'd watched the trailer for it ages back. Then a dentist appointment reminder and Jurassic Park from December. So there's that. And I don't know where or what that's from. It's just completely blank. I mean, I suppose there's a chance that a few of these, yep. Back in the days when I made my own personal bookmarks, I made a few of these for friends as well when I was in school, where I just took like a bunch of random pictures on Facebook and straight up cut them out in paint and made a random collage background. But of course we only had black and white ink in the printer, so this is what you end up with. It's just this weird crappy little thing with my name and my username on the back. So I've had that since like junior year-ish. This thing is like 8 years old. That's so weird. Now I move on to the next bookshelf. So there isn't anything in this one, but there are a few pages in here that did unfortunately get smudged with this lipstick, I believe, because I was like flipping through a page and went bam. So that was yeah, I think I just like reused the same bookmark with all the ones that I've been reading like this year for my personal reading challenge. So there's not a lot in those. Just found something. What are you? So I used to have these tiny little fat notebooks in high school, and I used to like doodle in them all the time during seminary or during class or whatever. And I had at one point gotten a set of markers that like there was like an invisible ink color changer pen marker in the set, so you could write in one color and then go back over what you wrote with a special magic pen marker, and it would change the colors. So I made like a bunch of book titles in the thing one day, and apparently I just decided to use this one as a bookmark for this book. Just kind of left it in there. I did not know I had done that. So this one was pretty good. And I only just found out that like apparently the Just Like Heaven book not only is like, I think there's a sequel, but also I did not realize that it was initially in French. So that was pretty intense. This I got just recently from Got Walls, I think on one of my first couple trips there, showing like all their trade-in practices and everything, because I think I was reading Chronicles of Narnia as part of my reading challenge at the time. And this is like one of the few books giant enough to hide it in there. Note the fact that I'm not actually taking anything out of these books, I'm just putting it right back. See, both the first book of my Harry Potter and my Twilight series, the whole front cover is just like gone because of small children and animals and love of books. So I have my digital download codes from the Twilight movie that I got, because it was like a full copy of all 3 discs in the set that I got from Target just for the first movie. So what are you? Church notes card. Again. Another note card. Warning, possible side effects include robbers, wars, contention, famines, pestilences, rebellion, death, destruction, suffering. The product was wickedness and secret combinations. Okay. Funny story with this one, this Short Secret Life of Bray Tanner. I read through it pretty fast after I got it and actually lent it out to Beth. And it was hilarious because she ended up borrowing it for so long, like I'm talking years, that one day she was like, oh yeah, I have your book, and gave it to me. And it had been so long since I'd seen it that not only had I forgotten that she had it, not only had I forgotten that I'd lent it to anyone, I forgot that this book even was a thing. I forgot that this book even existed. Not that I had it, I forgot that the actual book as a whole existed. And then I have my first copy of The French Twilight that I got just before junior year, I believe. Maybe senior year. That Nikki brought back from France for me, since I couldn't end up going with them. And, oh, jeez. I actually ended up using these from my English copy of the books somewhere along the line because, like, I think it was either the new moon or the eclipse premiere. I had put, like, I stupidly chose a dark shirt, like something like this or blue, to put the Team Edward iron onto. So you could barely read it, because I'm an idiot. And I want to say David might have used the Team Jacob one, but honestly, I don't for sure remember what happened with that one. But yeah. There's my book that I started working on forever and ever and ever ago with Heather, that we never quite finished, but we did do a couple more chapters past what's in here. But I went and self-published a copy for myself and for her, one for my 18th birthday, and I did her copy for her graduation from high school. Maybe one day we'll continue it, but I really don't know. It's actually pretty interesting because I got the first and second Divergent books from Kroger with the movie tie-in covers, and meant to get around to getting the third one for ages, and then eventually found Allegiance at Goodwill with a Kroger sticker and the movie tie-in cover, so it was kind of like the perfect thing. The Sephora Play card from January. Oops. And of course, Sorcerer's Stone, the cover us all destroyed from things. I've noticed a lot with the bookshelf tours I've kind of watched that anytime people have shown like their childhood copies of the Harry Potter books, like #1 and so Sorcerer's Stone and Order of the Phoenix are always like the worst for wear. Like the covers are just terrible, like in just the worst condition, but in like a loving way because they've been lived in. So yeah, my poor Order of the Phoenix, the cover also came completely off of it at one point, so I had to do some major surgery for not only the front but the back cover too, as well as a few other front pages. And of course it has like my handwriting showing that it belongs to myself and David from ages and ages ago. For some reason I have a card pocket in here. All of my paper clips referencing for my fan fictions that I never finished. Oh jeez, those are going to be so damaging to the pages because those paper clips have been in place for about 8 years now. And of course, like, all of mine are paperbacks for the original series, other than the last two, because that's the two that, like, I was able to get, like, brand new release copies of. No, why would I do that? I did those stupid paper clips in Deathly Hallows too. That's awful. Oh my god, those pages. It's gonna be so damaged. Here's the first Harry Potter book in French. And I only just finished getting the whole series together this summer because Nikki brought back the rest of the series for me from Belgium after her internship. And I have a Hughes Honda business card for when I took my car to maintenance. And they had me email them a copy of the coupon that they suggested I use off of their website to them so I could use it. So that was funny. This is one of my favorite books as well. This is the second copy I've gotten because I initially gave my copy, I think I gave my original over to Shirley, because basically it's like, I basically call it a Harry Potter textbook because it's meant to like teach you all kinds of details about the world and everything, and it's awesome. And the only drawback that I really see to it is the fact that it only covers like the first 4 books because that was all that was out at the time that they published it. But I still have my receipt in here from when I got the new copy, as well as the night at the museum and Quidditch Through the Ages because I got Shirley her own copy of that book as well. There's 2 more bookmarks from Gottwalls in my Wayside Stories book because I decided to buy the whole series. I've bought the series like not only once but twice because I found most of these books, if not all of them, at Second and Charles a few years back, and then gave them to Aeon to read, and then just never got them back. And I was like, well, they're kind of kids' books, so, and they're classics, so I kind of just let her inherit them. Just let her keep them for her own. And then just recently got myself a new set of them from Gottwall since they were super cheap. So that completes this second shelf. Now we just go through the last shelf, but there isn't much left to, and we might actually finish this before it's time for me to go to work in like 3 minutes. So this book is actually interesting. It's by Jack's ex-wife, where it's a bunch of stories about all the cats that they, well, at least most of the cats that they sheltered over the years, because they used to run a shelter through the house, which is why we had 14 cats when we moved in, between the last 12 he had and the 1 or 2 that we brought with us between Baby and Logan. So there's a bunch of stories about them from way ages ago in here. A few pictures. Like, for example, Boogie was one that I knew when I was little. But a bunch of them were like 12 years old by the time that we moved in, so they weren't around for a whole long time. I've really gotta, I'm thinking about rearranging my bookshelf in perhaps in the genres like other people have done a lot. I'm not sure about that because I am organizational in a way that I prefer to have them in alphabetical order, but perhaps at least in the way of like doing some sideways and vertical and such like that, so I can have enough space to actually have it all together. And there goes my alarm. I'm actually considering like maybe giving this to like Aeon or something. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I am fairly certain that there's something in this one. So I got this back when I was working at McDonald's ages ago. It's like one of those first books that I just straight up bought. Oh look, a ticket for The Hobbit. I think. No, this wasn't the premiere, because the premieres were at the end of the year, and this was from January. So I think this may have been like the second time I saw it. So I'm actually going to put that in my ticket thing, rather than leave it in here. No! Pages bent. And not dog-eared. Dog-eared I can kind of stand to a degree, but when it's like accidentally bent, that's the worst. Okay. At least we kind of fixed it. And that's actually what I'm going to be reading after I finish Love and Thumps, is I'm planning to read the Josh Sundquist books after. Yeah, that kind of about brings us to the end of it. Because that's basically all the books that I've, for the most part, books that I've read out of my series, other than the ones that like I've read previous copies of, whether it was library or whatever, before I actually bought my own copies. So while I've read them, I haven't like gone through these specific copies of them. So yeah, it's time for me to get ready for work and get out of here for the day. Have a nice lovely night shift till 11:30. And hopefully come back and do more of these kind of videos another time, because it's fun talking about my books and stuff. And yeah, I really gotta go. Bye.